played against.
You know what the funny thing is?
They called that.
If
If you saw our previous show against Alabama, and their tight ends,
like Dale did,
super
definitely
monsters. They're like
they can go
6'7", 6'5", 6'9".
And I don't want to toot my horn up yet, right? And good morning, everybody. We are the Talking Hats coming at you live on this chilly Saturday morning. It's cold out there today. It's cold out there every day. We're going to jump into some topics here. We've got a full slate of things to go through, and then we'll eventually get into some sports betting action and wrap things up with a question that has been on my mind that I wanted to throw at the guys. But yeah, I'm going to kick it over to Reese to start us off with talking about this Wizards game last night. What a debacle. Yeah, go ahead and get it started, and then I'll jump in with my 2 cents, and David can go ahead and jump into.
Where to start? I mean, like, you don't come out like blowing the doors off the team and leading by 10 and losing by 5 or whatever the final score was. I mean, what at the end of the day, yes, Kuzma had neck spasm. He wasn't playing, but as the assistant to the assistant, you can see why he's not the other assistant to or a coach in any shape, way, or form. He didn't call timeout when they were getting down by 10. They were sloppy play all around. You should have called the timeout, regathered the folks, and was like, guys, let's calm down, slow it down, and play our game. That never happened. And some of these like back and forth, and Beal, like, we've talked about this on the show numerous times. Why is he handling the ball? I mean, they trapped him. I mean, they were playing a college-style defense. They trapped him every time he got the ball, or they trapped him in the corner. They had always 3 people or 2 people around him. Why isn't like Denny or even Dinwiddie bringing it up? It just doesn't make any sense. And Beal had an off night. Even though he scored 21 or some points, that wasn't his best game turnover-wise. Turnover-wise, it was too much. I mean, we turned the ball over so many times, and it showed. And they just clamped down on defense on us. That's all they did. And that's how they won the game.
Yeah, so freaking Beal had 9 turnovers, and we've been harping on this for like maybe 5-6 shows in a row now, how Beal should not be a primary ball handler. I know you've got Dinwiddie out there as technically the point guard, but I feel like especially last night, Beal had the ball in his hands for most of that game. And then you saw the result. They had freaking 3 backcourt violations in 1 quarter. Like, what kind of pro team does that? When was the last time a team had 1? I mean, that's not something you see every night, let alone to see 3 in 1 quarter. So it was sloppy play from the team last night, and then sloppy play from Beal. I feel like he's been on podcasts here lately talking about his extension coming up or waiting to sign a new deal. And I think all this talk and all these thoughts are getting in his head, and he's probably starting to press a little bit, thinking that he has to show he's worth that money. I don't think, we've talked about this before too. For me, the list of players who are worth that money, maybe 5. I mean, you've got LeBron, Giannis, Steph, that's what I can name off the top.
KD.
But I can't. I don't put him up there. Jokic, yes, because the players I put up there are guys you can say, okay, I'm going to give this guy this deal, and then within that 4-year, $244 million contract, we have a legit shot to win a championship. If you give Beal that money, does this team have a legit shot to win a championship? Heck no. No. If you let go of Beal, if you keep Beal, you stay right here where you are middling. If you let him go, you stay right here where you are middling. So he's not a guy, to me, if you're going to pay him all that money and stay where you are, like, I'd rather keep the money and, spread it around a little bit. But David, you threw your thoughts out there on that. You picked that up. Let me see what you think about that as far as giving players that kind of money.
Well, I mean, it depends on the caliber of the player, right? So to me, in my opinion, I don't think Bradley Beal is the go-to guy, the superstar. I think he's a great complementary superstar. He's more of like the Pippen. I don't think he's even as good as how Wade was when LeBron and Wade were teamed up together. Yeah. But to be the go-to guy, I don't think he's that guy, because I feel like when he has the ball, he does turn the ball over a lot in clutch situations. So I think for someone to warrant that kind of money, they have to be the go-to guy. But then there's not many players that are of that caliber. And the thing is, the way the market is, it's like everyone's contract, prices keep going up, and so all these players believe they warrant this kind of money. But in my opinion, yeah, I wouldn't give Beal that kind of money unless like he's the guy. But I think he's a great complementary piece, but I don't think he's the the Batman.
Yeah, see, I understand the market, and I understand it keeps going up. They use that excuse when they gave Otto Porter the extension. So
Right.
with that being the case, and then they let Oubre go. So if Otto Porter, if the stuff like that is set in the market, then you throw the market out the window. You're making the decision ultimately at the end of the day. So if you give a player a bad deal like the Nuggets gave Michael Porter Jr. the max deal, I mean, you can't let the market decide for you on keeping players like marginal players. So it's okay sometimes to let people go. You drafted that player, you can draft somebody else to replace him. You can find somebody to keep you at 500. Like that's not hard.
It's almost like you have to like think about, you want to build a team, like a championship team, or you just want to have one player dictate who to go and who to get. Because if you invest all in one player, you can't get anybody else. You have to let other people go. So it's almost like I mean, that's great points, because if you look at it, what's his deal coming up? It's like what? The max is close to 200?
It'll be 4 years, 244, I believe.
244. Wow. Okay. And that's all guaranteed money, right? That's all
Absolutely.
locked up.
Every cent.
So at the end of the day, do you want to get you can probably sign 10 players with equal or high or even some caliber. And then, because if you tie up one player, you can't make moves. You just can't. Look what happened to John Wall. John Wall had all that money, but they had to let him go. And then that kind of freed up some space. So we're getting to that point again. Is Tommy Shepard going to keep Beal, or is he going to ship him out to a contender so he can sign more players so that the team can succeed instead of having one person?
Yeah, he was saying stuff on the Woj podcast this week that made me think that he's been loyalty up to a point, but he was kind of hinting out there that he might want to explore the market, which first of all, for me, I wouldn't let it get to that point. We're coming up on the trade deadline now, and I've said I would trade him for Sabonis. Sabonis's contract gives you, he's got a couple more years on his deal. It's less than Beal's, and to me, player for player, Sabonis might be a little bit better. So that's a move I'm definitely looking into. And Beal's market is at its hottest right now. Other teams consider him to be, a guy like that. Us here watching him, I love him. I loved him when they drafted him. I've loved him ever since. But I know what he is. I'm not overvaluing him. I'm not giving him that max deal. No chance.
You think he hit his ceiling?
Yeah, he has. He peaked the past 2 seasons. He might be on the downward spiral now, a little bit, but he's not what he was when he was leading the league almost in scoring.
David?
I mean, I'm of the mindset that you don't give a max contract to a player if your team isn't contending for the finals.
Yeah.
So, because what's the point? To just make the playoffs and then just be mediocre for a couple of years. There's no point in that. Yeah. I'll rather tank and start over and then try to build something that you could actually contend in the end. Because if you tie up a player and then you're just mediocre, you're just stuck being mediocre for years, right?
And that's what the Wizards have been, is mediocre. They haven't even crossed that. They haven't even made the Eastern Conference Championship that 1 year. They haven't even gone back to that. So at the end of the day, Tommy Shepard has a decision to make. It's going to be a tough decision, but I think he can make it. And I think we'll be surprised by the moves he makes, if he makes it. I would say if he makes it.
It's only a tough move because of fan sentiments. If you're looking at it on paper, like from a basketball standpoint, for me, that's not a tough move at all to let him go. That's a good business decision. And again, I love the player, but when it comes down to it, it's giving him $244 million to every year fight for that play-in game. Like you're fighting to make it to make it to the play-in game. No, but I'm saying if you give him that deal, that's what you're signing up for, to every season fight to be the 8th or 9th seed.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I can tank and get myself a Cade Cunningham who's out here balling every night, or Jalen Green. Is it Jalen Green on the Rockets? These guys are young superstars who, the teams tanked and they ended up with those caliber players.
DeJounte Murray,
right? Yeah, so go ahead and let him go. He can be replaced. Everybody's replaceable besides, like Giannis. The
Giannis.
five, the big five. I named three. I'm sure there's two more. I'm hot right now, so my brain's not going. But y'all know what I'm talking
But
about.
KD's not your five, not in your five.
No.
KD's
He's
definitely in
your
your five.
because he's not okay. He had his chance to show, what he could be. What he could be. I mean, last season, like for a majority of the season, those three guys were out there together, and then you get to the
No,
playoffs.
they weren't though. They weren't last year. Someone was always injured. They only played like a handful of games together, and then they made the playoffs. And then Kyrie got hurt again, and then Harden got hurt too. And then KD tried to carry that team. It took Game 7 for the Bucks.
Maybe I'm hating.
Yeah, he only can do so much, man.
I'm not a fan of KD either. Like I don't like what he did joining Golden State.
Yeah.
But like as a talent wise, he's unguardable. Like 7-footer that could shoot threes.
And I guess I have to put him in there because if he was on the Wizards, would I give him a max deal to keep him? No question about it.
Yeah, any team I would give him a max.
Yeah,
deal.
not Golden State. I wouldn't have given him
Yeah.
that if I was Golden State because they don't need him.
Like what do you rank Beal as a player? If you compare him to all the other like superstars, is he like top 10? He's not a top 10 player.
No.
Like,
You've got
top 20?
that. You've got that elite five. Then you've got the second tier like DeRozan and
Booker,
Yeah. Like Booker is right there.
And I would take those
pushing,
guys. Yeah, I would take
he's
those
pushing
guys
that
over
next
Beal.
tier. Oh yeah. So Beal is below that caliber of player. Like I said, he showed out with almost leading the league in scoring on marginal teams. But on a contending team, is he still that same type of player? I can't see him having that same kind of role.
I think
because on a good team, you can't be ball dominant like that. What was that?
I think he'll be a bench player if he goes anywhere else with any top talent.
He's a starter. He's a starter. He's an
all-star. He's an all-star, but he
may be an all-star, but at the end of the day, if you're going to give him to a playoff contending team, they're not going to. They may start him in the lineup, or he may have to take some kind of sacrifice.
He's definitely a starter. He's better than the average Joe. He's an all-star player, but he's not like
no doubt. But I'm just saying that if he's going to go, because he's not going to go to a non-playoff contending team. If you're going to trade him, he's not going
so you've got the Suns here at number 1 in the West. I'm just looking at the contending teams and picturing Beal on a team like that. On the Suns, Beal can't go out there and be a ball dominant guard, so that's going to change his entire game. Chris Paul is handling the ball, so he's going to be probably a 17-point a game catch and shoot type of player on that team. On the Grizzlies, he wouldn't be that kind of player. Jazz, like he would have to move the ball. On the Wizards, he's ball dominant because he feels like he has to be. My thing has always been he doesn't, because this team is better than those teams before, and he's still trying to play that kind of role, and he's looking sloppy doing it because the team doesn't need that.
Yeah, he's not that guy that should be dominating.
No, he doesn't have the handles for it either.
Why? Yeah. But why can't they just tell him that, hey, after half court, if you have an open shot, just.
That goes back to what I say, like, how do you fix a Deshaun Watson? Like, you can't tell somebody who's had success that you need to change your game. So it's up to him to realize that and do it, or it's up to the team to move him.
Yeah, I think we need to move him.
Yeah.
Or unless we could get another caliber player, like equal level as Bradley Beal, like when we had Westbrook last year.
Yeah.
When we had like Westbrook last year, I had they showed signs of like playing, they could make it to like the Eastern Conference Finals.
Would you try to get him back? Because he's on the market.
Not at this stage of his career. Yeah.
But his mentally, I think he's not shot, but he might have the yips.
Who?
Westbrook. He's struggling mentally right now.
I mean, he's a good all-around player, but he's not an efficient player. So that's the problem. Like, he has a lot of turnovers. His shooting percentage isn't good. Like, and he makes bad decisions. Like, he shouldn't jack up certain shots.
Yeah, but I think we can all admit there is no chance this team makes the playoffs without him last season. He had a huge role in getting us there.
No.
So y'all don't think adding him to this mix makes this team like a legit playoff contender?
Well, see, that's the thing though, right? Like, if you go back and get Westbrook,
you can give up Rui, Bertans, Thomas Bryant. I let him go too. To bring,
Yeah.
I mean, you're letting go your future. I mean, that's my kind of hardness. It's just like, at least like those guys didn't have an opportunity because they got injured and they haven't even had an opportunity to shine to see what they can do. So you're kind of giving up players that, have a huge upside for, I mean, the thing is, we don't know. I mean, I have a soft spot, so I'm speaking like a fan. So I have to like kind of differentiate between the two. But I always said that Rui, Bryant, and even Agdia and Kispert have a huge upside. They just need more playing time. But if that goes to another, at the end of the day, if it's a business, if you can trade those guys and get better quality players to build a team and to make the playoffs. But the problem with that is, how far can you keep those guys that you got? Like when you're bringing them in, do you have to re-sign those guys for another 2-3 years, giving up a huge talent pool, or are you willing to take that risk? That's the kind of, at the end of the day, like that's the risk you got to take upon if you're going to give up like quality like players to shine. And I have no doubt in my mind, if we trade those 3 guys or let them go walk, they'll be successful anywhere else. It's just.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, and I want to reiterate the fact that we're not trying to use Beal as a punching bag here. I love him as a player. It's just I don't. His role has fluctuated so much this season, and I think he's still. I mean, if he's trying to figure out his role at this point in his career and at this point in the season, I mean, it's time to do something different. So
I mean, you could still love a player and then just disagree with the market value that he set for himself. Like we like for instance, we like Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, but for the money he was asking, we're like, he's not an elite quarterback to be warranting that kind of money. So it's the same. I feel like it's the same deal with Bradley Beal. Like he's a good player, right? He has spurts where he take over a game, but then he doesn't do it consistently enough to be warranted that kind of money that he's asking for. So
what this kind of shows is Kuzma's the glue.
And that's another thing we can touch on. I want to get to the rotation right now, and then we can go back to Kuzma and what he does for this team, and taking pressure off Beal. So the rotation last night, they're trying to being an assistant to assistant, it's harder for him to work out these rotations and get consistent minutes for everybody, where everybody can actually feel like they contributed and get into any kind of rhythm or flow in the game. You got the bigs, you got Bryant back, you got Harold trying to get him minutes, you got Gafford trying to get him minutes, trying to rotate all that. It's tough on those three. Go ahead.
You also have Rui too in that mix.
And playing both of those roles too. Trying to get these guys minutes so they can get into any kind of game flow is definitely tough on an assistant to an assistant. He kind of screwed that up last night with the rotations. Gafford didn't play. He played 12 minutes. A guy like that should play more. He should be able to play more, even with the depth they have there. You got Brian out there, and I brought up I would move him before because I don't like the player he's turned into. Before his injury, I loved him because he was banging and he could step out. Maybe if he's wide open, hit a shot. Now he's out there jacking. This team doesn't need that. They don't need him doing that. I think he's worked on that so much that's who he is now. And I don't want it.
And he's not that guy.
I agree.
No.
Yeah, I agree because at the end of the day, like a big, like if you can do it, go do it. You know what I'm saying? But for him, like his player,
go do it. If you're open, if they left you wide open, do it. But he's catching and shooting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't need that.
You shouldn't be doing that. Not at all. And the thing is, like, I'm not a big proponent of the 3-point shot because at the end of the day, if you miss it, I mean, that's a percentage. You have a higher percentage of going in and getting a foul call, except if you're the Wizards, they don't call anything on us. But if you're in another team, they will. But you have a higher percentage of going in and try to make a jump shot or try to make inside the paint.
The metrics are completely against what you're saying, and that's why teams are jacking. The metrics say that's more efficient basketball.
It's a new game now.
It's a different game.
Yeah, but I'm still like, even with the metrics, it depends.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It's just teams are playing the way they're playing. Like the Rockets, Golden State and the Rockets kind of started that with playing just the metrics. It makes more sense to jack up 43s than to try to take it in.
But the thing is, you need to have the personnel, right?
Yeah.
If you have
Brian ain't the personnel.
Curry and Clay,
Yeah.
See, like
Steph Curry
I
and
feel
Clay
that,
are
like
like the best shooters in the history. Then of
exactly.
course,
And
See,
Harden.
it makes sense.
See, that's when the metrics kind of lead in your position, the numbers kind of lead into what you're doing. With the Wizards, their metrics are not like that. Not at all. I mean, you do have people
might
that can
be.
shoot the three. They might be, but at the end of the
I
day,
don't
just feel
know
that,
them. They might be though.
I mean, they could, but I mean, I see when Kuzma takes the ball in, I mean, 9 times out of 10, he goes to the hoop, he makes it.
See,
So
Kuzma is the one player on this team that I will leave out of that discussion because he's such a good shooter.
Right.
He's good. He's good off the dribble too, but I'm fine with him catching and shooting.
Mhm.
Beal,
Yeah, 'cause-
I would normally be, but his 3-point percentage hasn't been what it was before the past 2 seasons. Last year it
Mhm.
was down too, but prior
Yeah.
to that, he was a great catch and shooter. He can still shoot the three, but his percentages are down.
Oh yeah, it's just
He's
I
not
just
catching
feel that
shooting, but he's dominating the ball.
Yeah, he's trying to create the shot as opposed to catching and
Yeah.
shooting.
Yeah.
yeah, he just needs to be a pure, like, just come off the curl, shoot the ball if he's open, or try to like come up and create his own thing. 'Cause
And watch
he can create
as-
a shot.
And watch as he gets later in his career, Ray
Mhm.
Allen went through this same career arc, and that's who I've
Mhm.
always compared him to. He's
Yeah.
going to end up being that Ray Allen type, the catch and shoot guy, coming off screens, catching and shooting, not trying to create. He's going to slow down eventually, but he will be long gone by the time that happens.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that too, because Ray Allen has won so many games with that catch and shoot mentality. Even when he was with what was he with Cleveland? Or no, he was
When
with,
he was in Seattle and he was that ball dominant, like he was lighting it up every night, but they were losing. But then when he became a catch and shoot role player, he got himself a ring.
yeah,
Yeah, in
So-
Boston.
in Boston,
Yeah.
yeah. So at the end of the
And
day,
Miami.
it's just like, maybe he has to, like, I know, as Dale said and David and all that, we're not poo-pooing on Bradley Real. It's just that we see like what can this team be if he just changes his mindset. And
Well-
if he changes that mindset, I mean, I think, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, this team I mean, it may not be a different team, but at least we can cut down the turnovers in crucial moments.
I think what Wizards need is like one other superstar, because I think right now Beal thinks he's the best player on the team, so he's like, I have to do this. But if they got like another superstar that's like equivalent to what Beal is capable of, or
Well, that's
like
Kuzma.
last book,
Kuzma.
yeah, but he doesn't see Kuzma as equal. Like
He
sees
doesn't.
himself as
Yeah.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So we need, like, if Wizards get another player, like last year they had Westbrook, right? So that's why Beal wasn't like ball dominant. Or when they had John Wall, he wasn't ball dominant. But right now he sees himself as the go-to guy. So he's like, I have to take over the game. I have to create all these the plays for my teammates and stuff. And so I feel like if the Wizards get one other superstar, like, or one other all-star player, then he would probably be less ball dominant and play like how he used to play. But as of right now, I think he sees himself as the guy. So that's why he's trying to do too much.
Is that why
At the beginning of, go ahead.
No, is that why like Sabonis is a huge thing if he comes in?
Well, maybe, but Sabonis is an off the ball player. But with earlier in the season, I think he kind of respected Dinwiddie in that role, and they were kind of sharing the ball responsibilities. And Bill's scoring was down. He was averaging 17 points a game. They both were around there. But then when he saw Dinwiddie having these 5.0-point games, that's when he took it upon himself to come back and try to be the guy again. The thing with that is Kuzma can be that complimentary player to him, but like David said, he doesn't respect him. I can kind of tell, like when you're playing, like pick up, and you pass the ball to that one guy who you know is going to shoot the shot no matter what, like you hate throwing it to him.
Right.
Like I can tell Bill when he's passing to Kuzma, sometimes he has that look. It's like, like he is struggling to get the ball out of his hands. You can see it on his face. And it's because he hasn't earned that respect yet. But I would think at this point, Kuzma should be getting there to help Bill realize that he can be his complement. But we were talking about the rotations. I wanted to get back to that because last night Bertans had 13 minutes and only scored 2 points. We keep saying we need to move him. And it's hurting guys like Neto, who does help the team from an energy standpoint. He only had 5 minutes. Like that can't happen. They got to make some moves here. They got to get Bertans out. They got to get Brian out. Yeah, but
David, are you frozen?
Think so.
I think so. I was like, wait, he hasn't moved in like a minute.
They gotta move Bertans like now, man.
Yes. Yeah.
He has no role. So it's like I said, 13 minutes, 2 points. I mean, he's supposed to be a catch and shoot streaky shooter who's going to help the team. 2 points ain't helping the team. 13 minutes is not helping him. So
And-
at some point, you got to pull the trigger there.
Yeah.
Somebody
And
needs.
that's why that's why I like Corey Kispert a lot. I mean, even though I've been his biggest fan, it's just like he does the small things. If he
Gives
doesn't
you more
if-
effort on the defensive end.
Yeah, he puts more effort on the defense, and he's for some reason, I don't know if it's his mentality, he's at the right spot when the ball comes to him, like, or if he needs to make a cut, or if he needs to do like a small pass, like he can do it all.
He's
And-
scrappy
and-
too. I like that.
Yeah, and he's not a shot, and he's a pretty well defender. He's not at that status. Well, how
He's not on
Denny is
Denny
at-
level.
Yeah, but
Denny was playing good defense last night too.
he was playing
10-minute
amazing
warning,
defense.
y'all. 10-minute warning.
Okay.
Did you guys before I got disconnected, did you guys get to hear why I thought Beal was disrespecting Kuzma?
No.
No.
It's because he saw what Kuzma showed up to that Hornets game wearing that oversized sweater that didn't
The
fit
pink one. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, I can't pass the ball to this guy.
And that's understandable.
Yes,
I get that.
he looked like a flamingo, but you know what? Hey, it is.
I think David's frozen again. Ah. But like I
Because
said,
it's
we
so
got the
funny 'cause
10-minute
it's
warning.
like
We got the
it's
10-minute
like-
warning here. We can run maybe 8 more minutes and then I'll cut us there and pick us
Yeah.
up.
it looks like he took a picture of himself and then just posted it up on the Zoom.
On both of the ones where you got frozen, you were smiling, so I guess that's good. Not making a weird face. Not making a weird
Yeah.
face.
Oh, man.
Let's see.
But see, I mean,
So we can briefly. So the other night when they were playing the Nets, and that stupid coach deflected the ball, he ends up with a $10,000 fine, no suspension or anything. It's like that makes it almost worth it to interrupt the game flow to do that. That's nothing. Like the
mm-mm.
penalty, that should at least be a suspension. Come on now, and that fine is a slap on the wrist, even for an assistant.
Mhm. I mean,
Yeah.
that changed the game.
It
I mean,
did.
because they were about to score. Like
Yeah.
I think Kuzma was about to take that ball and score, and then and this is what I don't understand. The referee was right there. So you're telling me you couldn't see a deflection? Like you couldn't
mean,
see it?
Refs, we can go down that highway. I mean, don't get
Oh.
me started. Freaking
No.
cheating refs.
It's for every sport though. Refs always blow calls. You know? And
But we touched on this before. I don't think they're blowing calls. I think they're giving a
Yeah.
directive before the game of who they need to win to protect the brand, and they go out there and shape their calls in that direction. They try not to be obvious, but sometimes it is.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. We saw there was that whole incident with Donahue or Donaghy or whatever.
Donaghy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Donahue, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. There's
Yeah.
too much money involved, right?
Yeah.
Vegas is involved. There's too much money that goes.
With the sports books all over the place now,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so much
We
money
don't-
involved.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on behind
We
the
have
scenes.
no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
When it's that level of money, like it's not on the level. Something's always going on behind the scenes, and it's
Right.
not for us to know. I mean, it's for us
Yeah.
to bet and lose.
Yeah.
The freaking
Man.
Warriors.
You just
What
gotta
the
get on
heck?
the right side.
What the heck?
Oh, because they lost the Pacers. I
What?
told you Phoenix, but you parlayed it with Warriors.
Look,
Oh,
they
man.
had the game won, right?
They
They
did.
like Steve Kerr is laughing in the huddle, thinking the game is over. Then the Pacers
Yeah.
come out there. Sabonis is out. LeVert is
know.
out. Who
I know.
Their third top scorer was out. They're playing G League players and they beat the Warriors. They're not at full. They
Justin
missing
Holiday,
Draymond.
man. Justin
yeah.
Holiday.
Yeah, he played well.
And
That's what happens, man, when you don't take it
that
too
rookie's
seriously.
pretty good too.
Yeah,
Duarte,
And-
Chris Duarte.
yeah.
Duarte's
He was the
pretty
guy I was thinking like the Wizards need to target in a Sabonis deal.
I mean, there's a couple of rookies I like this year. Wagner for Orlando looks good too.
Mm.
Off a bad team.
What's his name's brother? Mo's brother. Mo Wagner.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're on the
yeah,
same
he's
team.
good. He's really good.
Yeah,
Like, he's
Franz Wagner. I had no idea he was that good.
Oh,
He's
he's-
legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when he played at Michigan, like he was, I mean, they're saying he's a better shooter than his brother, better position, but he's going to turn out to be a really good one.
Mo
Yeah,
was turned
he
into
really-
an instigator. I thought he was a decent player when he was here, but he's just down there trying to
Nah,
start
man.
fights.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he just likes to get he's another he's a Joe Embiid, but in a different way.
Do you guys think Simmons is gonna get traded during this deadline?
I don't know, man.
You
I don't think so.
I think they're they're willing to hurt themselves to spite him, which is stupid. The level of player they're looking to get back in return for him is just ridiculous. He's not an elite level player. He's not second tier. They're trying to get an elite talent in return for him, and that's ridiculous. I'm not trading an elite level player for somebody who can't shoot. Get out of here with that. Kidding me?
How are you in the NBA can't shoot? Yeah.
Makes no sense.
I mean,
But like I said, they're willing to hurt themselves to spite him because of the way he's handled this. If they just got rid of him and got a mid-level player back in return, that helps them tremendously because they're already good. So you just need a compliment there. You need a shooter to help Embiid.
They have Embiid. You have Embiid already. He's the go-to guy.
But
And
they're
you
gonna
got-
end up going out in the first round because they're being stupid. Morey is, I mean, he's proven he's kind of wackadoo anyway. So
yeah, I mean, they're not, I mean, it's just stupid. It's just a stupid business decision that that bit him in the butt. I mean, at the end of the day, they should have moved him, like as Dale stated, to like just moved him, just like screw it, and just got somebody like a little bit lower. But if you're trying to get high talent for Ben Simmons, it ain't gonna happen. Nobody's gonna touch that now. Like nobody is.
somebody might end up getting desperate, but like I said, if it's me, I'm not, no chance.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't
Nah,
even
me
give up like
either.
McCollum for him. I don't want somebody on my team who can't shoot.
Would you give
Would you
up?
trade
Go
would
ahead.
you trade Beal for Edwards, Anthony Edwards?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I loved him in college. I love Anthony Edwards. Yeah. I
Mhm.
like
He
his
looks really good.
attitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that he talks trash. Like I like him. I like him
He
a lot.
looks really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's good. That's one. If you had to make a deal, that's the deal I would make.
But that
Minnesota's not making that deal.
No, of course. Hey, listen,
First of all, they're
don't
not.
say that. Don't say, because Minnesota has made dumb trades over the years. They've
Yeah.
given up their
I
entire
mean,
franchise.
true, but that's not a realistic deal because they'd also have to give up. Like they'd have to include him and Cat in a deal because Bill's contract is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you'd have to match them salaries. So that's not even,
That's
they
not
can't even
a thing.
entertain that.
I mean,
Um,
can you imagine the people that walk through Minnesota's doors?
Yeah.
yeah, I
feel like-
mean
It should be better. I feel like that team should always be better.
that their current roster should be better than. I mean,
Right.
they're 8th seed right now though. So
Oh. Hmm.
that's, I mean,
That's respectable.
all you
That's
got to do
really
is get
respectable.
in.
That's
Man,
true.
anything can happen. But
Are they
But they
creating
have
a new
Beverly.
playoff structure this year?
what'd you say, Harish?
Is there like a new play? Because I've been reading with this new playoff structure. I don't know like how it's
It's the same
like-
as last year.
it's the same as last year. Okay.
But Beverly, I hate that. We talked about him. But I can't. I'll get to hate him.
I don't like him either.
Westbrook. They're talking about. So the Rockets are open to trading John Wall for Westbrook. Thoughts?
Really?
They're open to doing that.
I mean,
John Wall hasn't played a game this year.
yeah.
Nope.
What
But
are
with
the, why would the
with
Lakers, do that?
but they'll do anything to get rid of Westbrook. They
Mhm.
would do it.
John Wall? Come on.
Listen, Dale
He's a
knows
poor
what
man's
on John Wall.
Westbrook.
He can.
You're
he
just
can-
trading. It's a Spider-Man meme all over again. Like it's the same player.
he can apparently shoot now because that's all he's been doing. So
Oh,
Yeah, but anyone can shoot during practice. Can you shoot during a game? Like
true.
yeah.
talk about practice.
I mean, you know what though? I think they'll like him because he'll facilitate the ball better than Westbrook.
You don't need any. You got LeBron to facilitate the
Right.
ball. You don't need another player to facilitate the ball. You need a shooter, right? I would.
Yeah, you're
I
not
would.
gonna
If
get-
I was the Lakers, I would start Malik Monk over Westbrook because he's a better shooter.
Of course.
I like Malik
Mhm.
Monk coming out. I liked
Mhm.
him in college.
Yeah,
Um,
I just think that coach is just not doing a good job.
Well, if you listen to Charles Barkley, he's not he's not blaming neither.
see, a lot of that does go on Vogel, but who's really calling the shots? Who
yeah,
put the
I
roster
know.
together?
I know, but I feel like the roster would work if you just bench Westbrook, have him come off the bench, be the sixth man. You
Do
know,
you think
just
he'll come
don't
off
have
the bench though?
him and LeBron on the floor at the same time. Like that's just too doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess starting Monk over him would make sense because it does give you that shooter. And then when
Yeah.
LeBron needs a blow, you get Westbrook out there because they're pretty much the same guy. I mean, that kind of makes sense. But again, that calls for Westbrook to humble himself. All right, we got the 1 minute warning here. We can go and wrap up this segment. We'll pick things back up with some more. We'll probably get into some more NBA talk and then get into the weekend playoff games here. But we'll be right back in a moment.